Meanwhile, for Lava, we should now have our IO partner as they take the gyrocopter.
Yep, and it's the theme of every single South American team. Pick up gyrocopter in whatever position that you hopefully can get it in. Of course, we saw many of the other South American teams just first phasing it, but they'll take Gyro, Mars, Io every single day of the week. I think it's pretty incredible that they're able to pick it up. Of course, gyrocopter is a little bit low damage of a safe laner. I think that's why Black and Yellow ban out the Luna, because Luna does actually lane up pretty well. But now you've kind of killed, again, that aggression. Timbersaw should get a little bit more out of the lane, though. That's kind of the benefit here. I think this Gyrocopter is going to have a later timing, but that's where I think now Lava might be deciding to ignore the Timbersaw as much as he can, as a lot of teams do. And if you can just walk away from him, then that's where Nick's hero here in the line is going to be so incredibly key. If he has a really good game, then we might see a lot of these kills actually get finished off. And Weaver is also a very obnoxious hero for what is, at least so far, not a very lockdown intensive lineup. It's really completely relying on the spear at this point, and they probably got to fix it pretty soon here in Lava's draft.
Yeah, they do have that potential position 4 hero going to be coming out relatively soon, and it is going to have to be a good one, because if you don't have the lockdown for the Weaver, if you don't have the means of keeping the Timbersaw from chaining his way around these fights, things could get a little bit rough for them. So, we'll see, honestly, what it is they choose here. Moves, for the most part, does tend to really play quite a few different heroes in that position 4 role, so there are plenty of options on the table for him. It's just going to come down to really how, well, I guess we'll say aggressively, do they want to lane with that Mars, as that's not quite the position 4 hero after all. They're going to go for the TA on the back end here of Phase 2. So there's going to be maybe someone with a little bit more just straight up damage compared to the slower building Gyro.
Yeah, and that is now their entrance into the pit. They've picked up here that now allows them to, again, fast forward the schedule of the game. And knowing that a South American team picked up these two cores, we have the flexibility. We saw Alone playing this Gyrocopter mid over and over again. If they really don't want to lane this TA in the middle lane, we say Black and Yellow and decide to really go hard for a counter pick, they still have that flexibility. Unfortunately, I think most heroes in the mid lane that are good versus TA are also probably good for the Gyrocopter. Viper is really the one that kind of comes right to the forefront of my mind, but Leo style is gotta be playing that hero, I think, if it is on this team, regardless of where it actually goes in the lane. But he is a monster on this TA every single time he gets to play it. And if they really wanted to flex it to that Timbersaw's lane, that hero does have a pretty substantial amount of damage. I think, yeah, Viper ban, don't want to have to deal with it. They know it would be pretty bad. And I guess when they do ban the Viper, it does make me lean more into this TA going mid. But we'll have to see, of course.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically speaking, it would have still been maybe an issue even if it was the Gyro mid, but specifically a hero that tends to give that TA a hard time. Meanwhile, for Black and Yellow, keying in on, okay, maybe not quite keying in on that position 4 role. They went for the Rubik with the first ban, but they shift things up a little bit there to the Faceless Void. So I think at this point, they're looking at this lineup and wondering, is there going to be a switch up here? The IO could theoretically move to the 4, and then you could slot the Gyro into the position 5 role, and then obviously there would be space for something like a Faceless Void picked, but as of right now that does seem a little unlikely. But if you're Black and Yellow, you're not willing to take too many chances.
Yeah, and now what does Sammy Boy play? Do you pick up the Ember Spirit? Do you pick up another Spirit? Go for the Storm? Both kind of have historically decent matchups versus the TA. I'm just worried about one of those heroes just kind of dying straight up, though. But,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Classic counter pick. Usually a hero that we typically don't see in NA all too much unless there's a Life Stealer or a Juggernaut, one of those easily kiteable melee heroes, but it honestly matches up very well versus both the Gyrocopter and the TA. I think Gyrocopter, of course, he hates being linked. He hates getting run down. He's so close in these fights. Same with the TA. TA is just a straight up counter pick, though. I don't think that Lava really have the opportunity to swap up their lanes. Of course, they could prove me wrong here by just swapping it.
Nope.
And we'll have to see how they slot in here, but
It's
yeah,
MJZ.
okay.
Okay, never mind. I was going to say
They
MJZ
slotted
back
up.
in the day did play that pause 5 puck, but they're not going to go for it. So yeah, well, puck mid, it is going to be the Gyrocopter in MJZ's hands, and moves on the IO. So, well, at the end of the day, you still have a problem with the TA going up against the Razor, right? With that sort of long duration static link. But I think the hope in a lot of these instances would be that Leo style now on the puck is going to introduce an alternative damage source, and more importantly, some lockdown that this Lava lineup really did not have going into that final pick.
Yeah, they picked up one of the best heroes versus that Weaver. I think that's where Black and Yellow were really focused in on banning out what felt like MJZ heroes, like the Rubik, and we've saw them also play a little bit of that position 5 Faceless Void that a lot of teams really liked versus the Timbersaw as well, because of course time dilation hurts, especially once you get a second point early, especially with an Uv, very hard to trade with, but they get to swap everything up. Last pick is still last pick, and now they completely avoid both of the counter lane matchups in the mid lane, and they pick up this active kill hero that can actually pretty heavily threaten the Weaver, which is something that no one else on the lineup could do. So it's a really good mix-up from them.
Solid move, and again, with a lot of other teams, maybe you'd be a little bit concerned with this switch up on the supports, but you mentioned it earlier on in the draft, Moose has played the position 4 IO before, obviously for, I think, other teams prior to coming to Thunder Predator, but very much familiar with it back on his time with, I believe it was Business Associates over in the NA region. And of course, MJZ, he knows how to play a position 5 gyrocopter. Most of the supports in the South American region do. So that level of flexibility sort of coming into play for them, and we'll see if that switch up is enough for them to really put the pressure on Black and Yellow here.
Yeah, and kind of the theme with a lot of it North American teams, they got to win their lanes, and then they need to snowball off of that. Otherwise, the South American lineups just have so much team fight. They amass so much so quickly. And the NA teams, they keep on doing their thing. They keep on playing more on their own sides of the map. They play a little bit more separate style of Dota where they are really relying on winning their lane and then farming through that. But that's where these South American teams just don't mess around. They'll be losing for the first, I don't know, 5-6 minutes of a game, and then they'll just turn up the heat whenever their heroes spike on those level power-ups, and it just feels like a lot of these NA teams kind of aren't up to speed. They get caught off guard in a lot of these positions.
And of course, we say NA and SA teams in this manner. I'm sure there's a lot of people who sort of wonder about that, because there are some teams that obviously break that mold, right? Not everybody fits into the stereotypical styles for the region, but for the most part, does tend to sort of play out in a manner where the South American teams have been very active, very sort of almost single-minded in terms of what they want early, as we do see a bit of a fight breaking out early on here, but Black and Yellow have literally every single one of their heroes here. So Jubei, he's going to take a little bit of damage, but nothing too serious. They did throw down that Sentry Ward. Unfortunately for them, there's nothing here to D-ward, but Lava will at least have to be careful throwing down some vision there in the future in case it just immediately gets taken away from them.
Yeah, they've got to be concerned. It was also just a nice early smoke. Got Leo style. His ward is actually just barely out of the range, but Yellow won.
No, they're not. I'm sorry. I just absolutely debated everybody. They pushed forward like they wanted it. That was about 4 heroes coming in, and I mean, Frank would have had to scale up really the spear to do much of anything as Moose with a little bit of a fireworks show there. Okay, but they at least grab themselves a bounty or two. They'll set up into these lanes, and during the draft, I was kind of mentioning we were very unlikely to see the Mars and the IO lane together, but with that switch up at the very end, it did put Moose into that position 4 role, so we'll have to see. Mars is not really what we would normally expect in an IO partner in the lane, but a little bit of extra regen certainly going to help for a hero that already likes to play forward. You see right on cue, he's going in after Yamson, and actually one more hit. They've got him. Moose hits from long range, and that was almost a casual kill at the start, but it's first blood to Lava.
Yeah, it's really smart as well. Just ignoring the entire creep wave. They know they have the pre-play sentry, so they just immediately start right-clicking him up, and Yamson definitely got a little bit greedy there by going for the range creep. Jubei could also just very easily brain sap for it, but it's the little plays like that that really get you a little bit concerned here, because of course, in very similar fashion to the Morphling, you're in the danger zone in these early levels. Shikuchi is a 12-second cooldown at level 1, and it doesn't get very much better for you. And we'll have to see. Yeah.
Zero's going to get taken down. Lil Nick now, he's pretty much dead to rights as well. He's going to get hit by the homing missile, and, well, remember when I said MJZ knows how to play position 5 gyro? There it is. He comes in, gets the wraparound behind that offlane duo, and that's just a little bit too easy. Kitaro did drop very low on the TA, so he's got to be kind of careful here because Zero does have the Timber Chain, but don't think he's going to stick around long enough to actually get caught out.
Yeah. And tried to give it to Kataro. Unfortunately, Little Nick was able to get another Earth Spike off there, so all that gold does get pumped into your gyrocopter, which is mildly unfortunate. Of course, MJZ is also no salve, so Kataro, yeah,
They are going
getting
for
pressured.
They got the sentry down, very nice, but they need the damage. Kataro's got a couple of wand charges. Now they're turning. Zero's actually the one who's going to go down, and Little Nick, I mean, he's a level 1 Lion. He did everything he could there with the Earth Spike, and this offlane's starting to get a little ugly. He's going to go for the stun again, but there's going to be that refraction in place just in time, and Kataro and MJZ, they're just, they're kind of running circles around their opponents here early on. 3 kills in this top lane for them.
Yep, and Zero is fortunately able to purchase up the boots, so it's not going to be that long of a walk, but also kind of highlights how good of a TA lane this really is. It's very single target, one-hit spells. Refraction is so brutal versus that. In addition to that, you also don't have the reactive armor. They went for that early kill, I think, on Black and Yellow. They were trying to get aggressive early on in these levels before Kataro has that second, third level refraction, but it almost feels like that play has turned on them a little bit, because now they're really heavily losing control.
Nick, falling back. Good Earth Spike there to break up that attack. This homing missile will still hit, but he's all the way under the tower, but this is just a rough lane. Zero needs to be able to get levels in that reactive armor, otherwise he's just not going to be able to stand up here, and obviously anytime the Lion comes forward, he's just getting instantly pushed back, although Zero, and this is the problem, you try to get a little bit aggressive, you don't have a whole lot of armor, so the right clicks and the 2 points up in the rocket barrage is very punishing for him at this stage.
Yeah, it's going to be rough, and they're going to have to keep on just running away, more or less, from this duo. It's a nice stun from Nick, but it really just means that Kataro is going to have that easy walk into his levels, where now the top lane is fairly level-starved. And usually, you want to be rotating out to stack for your other heroes with this Lion. Of course, you're a ranged 4. You want to play in your triangle as much as you can. Not just that, it would also mean that you're taking this bounty rune that Leo Style has very nicely walked all the way over to take. And okay, Leo Style, okay, nice drift. Killed the play.
Sammy, maybe taking a look at how some of the side lanes have gone through the first couple of minutes, thinking, I kind of want, obviously not to get aggressive, it's a level 5 Razor, he's not making any rotations, but you would very much like to try and take some semblance of control in this middle lane, and to this point, he's been farming pretty well. In this middle lane, he's got the highest last hit count in the game so far, so if nothing else, Black and Yellow are going to have the Razor in a good spot, but you were talking about it sort of coming into the game in that post-draft sort of section. Black and Yellow and the NA teams in general put so much emphasis on that sort of laning stage, and so far, everyone other than the Razor is not where they would like to be.
No, definitely not. And the big reason why they picked this Razor is, unfortunately, kind of a second thought for Lava, because Puck, of course, does not care about you. Puck is going to nuke for last hits. That Link doesn't really play that big of a role here unless you see the overextension. But top is still just kind of a disaster.
I mean, and the TA is not even involved in that one. That's just MJZ. He's sitting at 4-0 ET. We're 5 minutes into this game. I mean, someone forgot to tell MJZ that he is supposed to be a support gyro. He's just racking up kills.
Yeah, and a huge part about the support gyro is that you are getting kills. You are getting active, and you are getting that level advantage, because let's say that was a level 2.5 gyro making that same play, it's probably not a kill. It's probably Zero walking away and kiting your creep wave, but when you get that early advantage, it's just literally the snowball. You suddenly have so many levels, you're able to make so many plays, and you do so much damage. You're just a very obnoxious hero, and I think the reason why South America likes it so much in this 5 position is you do get ahead early, and then you just start exploding onto the map. Like, MJZ just in full confidence can make an appearance at this top rune, and if there's a skirmish, he's gonna win it.
Rune spawns bot, however, and Little Nick is going to be first on the scene. He probably... Oh, I was going to say probably needs to go for the deny, but I'll actually steal it. Now they're going to look for the kill. They got the Hex into the Earth Spike. They need more damage, and... Nice. Okay, Sammy with the ult. Who needs to right-click when you've got the Eye of the Storm? Sammy gets up a big kill there, and... Well... Okay, sure, the Arcane Rune had to go into Little Nick's hands, but that's really the best-case scenario. You take that rune, you find the kill, and now Sammy's even going to push into this east side jungle. They'll get vision on the stack. Because I'm pretty sure they were assuming it was there anyway, but now they've got that confirmation, but... Sammy actually wants a TP top. They're going to look to punish Kataro. They hit him up with that static link, and the TA, unfortunately doesn't have her backup. The gyrocopter obviously rotated mid, as we just saw, so Kotaro has to back off, but now if you're Sammy, jungle time? Because he did just use his TP to get up here, and didn't really get too much out of that rotation.
Yeah, and it's just the small problem that Black and Yellow do have of if you can get set up with Kataro, it's really hard to go into TA land. These traps are going to be really obnoxious, and that's where also missing out on that really core initiator, no one gets into the fight easily. Everyone is going to be walking into these engagements on the Black and Yellow side, and that's where they probably need to itemize to fix that problem in draft. And unfortunately, that also means the TA is just going to be able to farm incredibly quickly. How they breach and contest these stacks with the Razor is going to be key, though, because the Razor can take the stacks. He's the only hero on Black and Yellow that can really kind of move into that area. Yeah, bottom, that was just a huge rebuke. Does so much damage. He almost has the armlet, too.
And Yamsun's at least able to get away with that Shikuchi, and he was close to 6, but not quite there, so that could have gotten a little ugly. And yeah, as you said, Frank's getting very close to an early arm lead here on the Mars. So we talked about it in the draft, the fact that the Mars usually is not a massive damage dealer, maybe a bit more oriented towards tankiness and initiation, but with an armlet coming out first, that honestly is not going to be the case. He's going to hit pretty hard. Speaking of hitting hard, middle lane, Sammy's going to get hit up here, but with that Eye of the Storm going, Leo doesn't want to push in. He's trying to wait for the abilities, but he's just taking so much damage. He's got to jump away. And they will miss out on a bit of an opportunity there, but that is going to be the downside of that puck. You can dodge a lot of damage, but Sammy with the Eye of the Storm just has that consistent output that the puck is, as of right now, not really strong enough to deal with.
Yeah, and they also need to be very careful. In very similar fashion to how Black and Yellow kind of have a problem with no lockdown, the Razor can kind of run at you uncontested. The only spell they have to really hold him down is the Arena, and if Frank is showing farming in his wave, then it's one misstep, and then we get to see how good Razor is versus both the TA and the Gyro. It was picked for that express
Taking
reason.
it out, they want it. Arena into
Nightmare.
Spear. Good Nightmare.
He's fine.
Yeah, okay. Nightmare into a time lapse. That is a hell of a defensive combo, but MJZ's coming in. Homing Missile will connect, but yeah, Sammy TP's forward. Nice Spear to push him back, though, so I believe Lava are going to be able to fall back here, but they do need to get out. Jubei continues to chase. Yamsun trying to come in here with the Shikuchi as well. They really do want this kill, but now with Leo Style coming back in, they've got to be careful. There's no Dream Coil for 10, but Sammy a little bit too far forward. Now he's going to get hit by the Spear into the Missile. They do get a defensive Nightmare down, but it won't be enough. Leo Style picks up the kill. Lil Nick just TP'd in, though. He's going to throw down the stun, and they're looking to turn, hoping to get onto moves. They do get him with one final right click from Jubei, but the cost is way too high. 3 heroes dead, and oh, Leo Style. That feels a little bit greedy onto Lil Nick. Actually, more than a little bit. That is insanely greedy. He is taking so much damage under that tower, but it looks like the greed will pay off. MJZ finishes the kill there, and Leo Style has faith in his teammates, that's for sure, because he just jumps in solo knowing MJZ will have my back, and they do manage to win that fight pretty handily.
Yeah, and you know what Black and Yellow were trying there? They knew that the arena was wasted. They felt like they could bring more heroes and then just win. But MJZ is level 6 after that kill happens. And again, it's the snowball. He is just so much damage, providing really everyone all of these kills. At the same time, it took so long for Moose to die there. And there were some nice nightmares in from Jubei. Really, the 2 nightmares to stall out those deaths as much as he could have. But unfortunately, the magic damage is just plentiful. And without Zero wanting to get involved in that engagement, I don't think there really is a chance for them to win that fight once that coil comes back up. I think if the coil is there to stack on top of that arena, then it probably looks worse for Black and Yellow, but unfortunately now, this is the problem. Tier 1s are going to get cleared off the map, and you have this Mars to collapse on the mid lane. How Black and Yellow are going to deal with that aggression is going to be paramount for them really keeping their head above water in this game. Sammy Boy's trying to play in this mid lane as much as he can, just trying to put the pressure on, but I am really worried about a smoke from bottom into mid, or even just a relocate, because Lava have all of their tools now.
And now we go back to 4 or 5 minutes ago, talking about that lane, talking about how much of a struggle it had been for Zero early on. You look at him right now, he's got the Hood of Defiance. That is good for his durability, but Arcane Boots and Hood of Defiance is not exactly a battle-ready build, even for the Timbersaw, so you're going to be fighting maybe not at your full strength if the Timbersaw rotates in, and that's not good because he's really the only durable person you have in your lineup right now. That Razor hasn't built in that direction yet because we're 12 minutes in, and that would be very strange for him to have something like an SNY at this point, so it's rough for them, but yeah, we do see the smoke. They're going to try to fight. Zero, he's already at about half mana, so this is going to be rough for them, and they've also lost their tier 1 tower here mid, so there's nothing to defend. It just feels like this rotation is coming in a little bit too late, but maybe they can still find some sort of kill. Sammy's going to push his way forward. There's going to be the plasma field out, but the arena will be dropped. Moose, though, is the one that they're targeting, trying to bring him down first. They get the Finger of Death down, but now the call down from MJZ into the Dream Coil, connecting onto 2. They get the spear pushback for the stun onto 0, but, well, they threw basically everything they had there in that first volley. They do get Lil Nick, but chasing any further than that feels like it would have been a little bit too much for them. So they will fall back. They do turn it into a 1-for-1 trade, and if you're Lava, you did get the tower before any of that sort of broke out. So I think they're going to be more than happy with that exchange.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think Moose got really greedy there, not immediately going for the relocate after they saw the smoke broke onto the Razor, but they were pretty ready for that fight already, as they were already 4 heroes kind of in the vicinity. But it also is unfortunate for Black and Yellow. It just strikes a little bit too late. They walk all the way up top, then they head towards mid, and unfortunately after that kill, they can't even put the aggression now onto Lava's side and push into this mid tower because their heroes really simply can't. And I think that's really going to be the biggest drawback is how are we going to play with Zero? How are we going to get him onto these towers? He got the top tower. He did what every Timber Saw can and should do every single game. But at 15 minutes, if we're not seeing Black and Yellow storming up to Lava's high ground in the mid lane, I think this game is really going to stall out in a bad way for them. Leo Styles got his Blink Dagger. Desso's finished up on the TA. If this fight ends up getting towards the Roche pit, I feel like Lava are just, again, going to be able to set up. And once TA's in town, it's really hard to get into these fights.
Just this really sort of up-tempo, higher pace that, theoretically speaking, Black and Yellow could survive, but it's going to be an ordeal for them. So we'll see what they can put together. Meanwhile, Frank, well, working his way towards the Blink Dagger. Just a moment ago, he actually picked up the Soul Ring, which the order's a little bit outside of what we normally see, the Armlet and then the Soul Ring, but he needs that little bit of extra mana, and the HP cost of the Soul Ring doesn't matter because you've got an IO that's basically on your butt 24/7 throughout the first 15 minutes here, so he's going to feel confident with that pick as, yeah, bottom lane, Yamsun gets hit up, they get the silence down first into the Dream Coil. He does get the time lapse off, but that rebuke into the call down, jeez, that's just too much damage. I mean, Yamsun, it's well played to try and get out with that time lapse, but you're still in the fight. He does get taken down, and now in the river, Kataro is able to deny the room. He's just going to go straight in for the kill onto Sammy, and the Razor, he was not able to stand up to that. That first hit with the meld takes away the armor and just leaves him vulnerable, and 2 big kills for Lava picking off those 2 main cores. Now you see them making their way up the river. Roshan is available to them.
Yeah, and that's where, even though Razor is really good versus TA in the lane, that's where Lava dodging out that lane, it's not that good of a situation for the Razor. You have to get so close to a hero that's immediately going to smack you with the -8 armor, and if you aren't ahead of that TA, you can't stand up to her in any degree. You have to wait for her to be disabled. You have to wait for that kind of kiteable fight to happen for you. And unfortunately, this is where Lava's activity is just going to explode. Katara has 2 lives to play with, and they're just going to keep running at you.
Spotted Jubei. Ooh, TA trap not going to connect, so they're not able to find that one, but they do push Jubei out, which means this west side jungle, kind of Lava territory for now. We'll see whether they actually drop any vision here. I think that's going to be important. They have control of it, but this may not be a section of the map that they really care to play in for an extended amount of time. As Leo Style finds the pick off onto Lil Nick up top, this is getting into kind of stompy territory, ET, as Kataro just takes the opportunity to take another tower. The final tier 1 falling in the top lane as they get the grip. They're going to try for the Mars. They need a little bit more damage, though. They don't have it. The Nightmare. Actually, that Nightmare really doesn't do much. Jubei's actually getting away, though. Well, he's trying to get away. Let's phrase it that way for now. And he's actually going to sneak his way out of there. So Fiend's Grip does not get you the kill, but at least you don't give up anything for it other than the cooldown, which at this point has to count for something, but it's a consolation prize at best.
Yeah, they just didn't have enough damage. Right now, Black and Yellow are using their TPs very aggressively to try and split the map. You see them trying to play in these areas. Sammy got the easy farm for the time being. He's working towards that BKB. Then he can start running at these heroes. Of course, it's still avoid the TA unless she's leashed up and stunned, because otherwise you are just going to die. And they are forcing Lava to respond to their map a little bit, but that's where the IO lets you fix these issues incredibly quickly, and where they still need to play very carefully so they're not getting all too much out of what they are getting. See, Yamsun's just set up shop in the enemy triangle because he doesn't have a triangle right now. They are going to kind of crawl back this control, but this is also a trap that people play with TA, a literal trap where you leave an area, you keep the traps there, you plant vision, and then you come back, and there are no camps to farm already, so you just kill heroes, and they're going to find another. BKB, though. Oh, he snapped the coil. He should be fine, though.
He's still got the BKB, so yeah, he could just walk out of this if he wants, but he's going to try and stand and fight. No one is coming to help him, though, so I don't really know if this is a fight that he wants. And we will see him back off now. We finally see a TP in as Zero will arrive, but Sammy, really for a long time there, was left to fend for himself. Speaking of fending for himself, Jube, well, he is alone in the lane. Silenced up, he was hoping for the Nightmare defensive play to get himself out of there, but now he's just going to get slowly but surely picked off. As Leo style, there you go. Needed one last hit, he is going to be able to connect, and you mentioned earlier Black and Yellow were doing a good job of trying to split the map. Now we see that response from Lava. They're just not going to...
He's alone.
Not gonna let it happen. They've got the finger. Got to get through the refraction, obviously, and need a little bit more lockdown as well. But Kataro, he is in some danger. Will they be able to bring in any help, though? There is the relocate coming forward. Leo Style is going to join. Big Earth Spike, though, coming in from the Lion, shutting that down. Sammy, however, doesn't have a whole lot of help to work with. The Finger of Death does come through onto Moose, but it's not enough for the kill. And at this point, Black and Yellow starting to fall apart. Zero caught out alone on the east side of the fight, pinned to the wall by the spear. And it's only the two supports still fighting. Yamsun is not going to get involved, probably for the best. But that does leave his two supports just in no man's land to try and make something happen, and it's just not going to work. Nick goes down first, Jube picked off by Leo Style after, and Lava just not letting up. Very few mistakes. Katara was in danger for maybe a few seconds, but holds the line until reinforcements arrive, and Lava are just running away with it now.
Yep, he just knows he's okay, and again, that's where the Razor, if you're not ahead, you don't have an armor item just yet. He's got the plate mail kind of desperately queued up here. It's just, when is the breaking point? When are we going to be able to actually stand up and fight Lava? They just have so much net worth at this point that the game is becoming very difficult for them. I think, really, they have these outer towers still. They've got the tier 2 mid, they got the tier 2 top. They unfortunately lost Flip, so now the goal for Lava with the remainder of this Aegis is going to be claiming those two outer towers. Then Black and Yellow just need to get these two, I think, little items. We could have a Blink on the Lion, we could have a Halberd on the Timber Saw. The only problem is there's so much of a hybrid type of damage coming out from Lava. You've got Frank, who's also doing an incredible amount of DPS on the side there with his rebukes. You can't, of course, spend the Link on him. That Link is always going to go down on the TA, but that's also where the control game is just going to get tighter and tighter from Lava. There really is no reason for them to ever leave the area unless it is to do that bait play I was describing, where they already know where you're going. You kind of have to go there because it's very natural for you to fill the map. Unfortunately, they're just controlling all your movements, and that's a free
Frank.
One, but
It's in there for the kill. Sammy, he got the Link off onto Moose. That's an interesting hero to pick, but I mean, it gets him a little bit of damage, but now the rest of the cores on Lava, they're just free to push in. They know that Link is not available for another 15 seconds, so it's kind of a free pass. They're looking to get damage onto the tier 3 tower, and now you need to be maybe a little bit careful because the Aegis has just expired, so Kataro no longer has that second life, but as of right now, the initiation from Black and Yellow isn't there. They still need to wait for the Lion. Sammy, though, he's going to charge in. BKB active. Eye of the Storm goes. He gets the Static Link down as well, but on the back line, Leo Style finds a pickoff. Jube gets taken down. Buying back immediately, though, and well, they're going to try to fight this out. Leo Style and MJZ both fall. Frank on the run. Bulwark active for a moment, but he's just got to maybe try and toggle the armlet and hope Moose can heal him. But Sammy coming in with that plasma field. They'll take down Frank. Moose tries to TP out. Sammy, well, unfortunately, that BKB build did mean that he didn't have a Yules to cancel that TP, but they got the big ones. TA may have gotten away, but 3 huge kills for the side of Black and Yellow.
yeah, and they're looking for more as well. They want to find Kataro now, and really, that was an overextension. The Hurricane Pike did not break the Link, so there was 125 damage. That fight was entirely carried by Sammy Boy. He had to run in to allow his teammates to do anything. It's a nice play from Kataro. Shouldn't really amount to anything, but he's given away his position.
Right,
They're coming.
The reinforcements are on their way. They smoked up. They're wrapping around. They'll have to deal with MJZ as well, but this may not be a problem. Kataro's going to get hexed up. They got the Fiend's Grip down onto him as well, so that TA with no protection. Finger of Death comes through. Lil Nick gets it, but now here comes the revenge. Leo Style in. Dream Coil onto 3. Silence also onto 3. Supports are blown up first, and Sammy, run, boy, run. Get the hell out of there. He has the BKB, so this homing missile should not affect him.
Yeah, BKB TP.
There's the TP. All right, he's just going to get as far away from that as possible. And
You should run.
to be honest, if you're black and yellow, I think you still have to go for that. You know that that sort of retaliation will be coming your way, but you can't pass up that opportunity. They got the TA, and it was only the 2 supports who fall in exchange.
Yeah, and I'm surprised the warning signals weren't going off in Kataro's mind there with the Yamsun all but kind of suiciding to try and keep him there as long as possible, but fortunately, if he gets caught without BKB, yeah, he's just dead.
Frank doesn't have the damage alone, but he's not alone. Leo Style comes in, and yeah, without the BKB, Sammy cannot afford to push that far forward, and mentioned earlier, no Yule's Scepter, hasn't turned this plate mail into anything. He was just looking for the casual armor, so outside of the BKB, there is literally no way for him to get out if he does get caught there. So we're right back sort of in that similar situation. Lava able to reestablish some control. Net worth lead, obviously still not quite up to its previous high watermark, but they have an opportunity. Sammy could buy back, but if he does buy back, you're sacrificing even more of his net worth. And well, his presence, honestly, may not be enough for them to win the fight, but I feel like they certainly can't take any engagement without him. You actually see them so far back in their own base, they're just going to have to let the racks go.
Yeah, they really can't do anything without the Razor. They know that he really is their everything. Of course, Zero does have the Halberd, so we might see him venture a little bit closer now, but without stacks, he's also a very easy target for them to break. Zero's got a BKB queued up for himself because he knows the kind of the game that he's in right now. I think we might see a smoke from black and yellow. They know that they're not that far behind just yet. I think really the big moment is going to be when Kataro decides to kind of kick this up to 11 and get either the Daedalus or the BKB. Unfortunately, the fight for the high ground here.
They get the Nightmare down. There's the Dream Coil, though, connecting onto 3. Sammy's going to pop the BKB and try to fight his way out of this, but there's going to be the wraparound. Frank comes in on the back line. They take down Lil Nick first. Jubei will be falling as well. Now Yamsun, yeah, he tried to go for the other half of that pincer maneuver, but with so much of the front line just sort of melting, really he has to get himself away. He's not in the base now, as Lava are going to try to push another lane of racks going up onto the high ground mid. And Lava, oh god, they're just going to go in. That spear actually pinning Sammy to his own racks. They'll take him down. That forces out the buyback. But at this point, it's just falling apart. Leo Style will die to the Finger of Death, but Lil Nick now has to run for his life. Sammy, with the buyback, is back onto the front line, but he's going to get pushed away by the spear. His teammates, though, are still forcing their way forward. Zero in with the flamethrower, trying to get consistent damage onto Frank. Moose, however, on the back line was trying to heal up, so Zero chases after him, able to bring down that healer. Frank is now in some trouble, trying to toggle out the armlet while his teammate is going to get run down in the middle lane itself. MJZ falls, and Lava, well, we saw it earlier. They just get maybe a little bit too greedy there, although in fairness, that was a huge pick onto Sammy. I just don't think they realized he had an immediate buyback, so they sort of get clipped on the back end of that. Obviously still very much in control of the game, but it's not 100% clean, and black and yellow are still trying to fight.
Yeah, and it's these early buybacks. The reason that they're forcing the issue so much is because they know how hard the next 5 minutes are going to be for black and yellow now. And now they're forced an engagement where they don't have buybacks to contend with this Roach Pit. Those dives really just ensure that now this next Roach fight is going to be incredibly easy for Lava to win. They're just looking ahead, I think, by going a little bit overboard there. It's a nice play from Nick. Both times he's actually finding Leo style. He's getting the Hex onto these pucks. Unfortunately, he did have the Aeon Disc the first time, didn't have the Aeon Disc the second time, so he eats the finger there, and they are able to pick off that very annoying hero. But unfortunately, we're still waiting for, I think, those tier 3, tier 4 items where we're going to see black and yellow actually be able to find these easy contests. Jubei is just sleeping Katara in the top lane. There's no play to be made here. He's just trying to be obnoxious. Don't think Katara's even going to value, yeah, going for the kill. They just know with Roche Respawn, just take it. It's going to be that much harder for them to hold onto their map. And Katara's going to have a full Daedalus in a second here. Then you really can't link the TA anymore unless she's stunned. You are just going to get melted by her.
Yeah, Lava really just making it so much more difficult for their opponents to mount any sort of response here. So Roshan should be going down, Aegis and the Shard. We'll see who actually takes that Shard. Kataro, okay, he actually picked up both, so he's got himself the side trap upgrade. They were already an issue for black and yellow to deal with, and now you've got a silence coming out as well. And on that BKB check, Sammy, as we saw, has one, but work just beginning on a BKB for the Weaver, and obviously Zero a little bit closer, but he hasn't purchased any components either. So you have to contend with that silence. You don't really have the means to do so at the moment, and Kataro did just finish off that Daedalus, and he's got 2 lives. So I'm not entirely sure what play Black and Yellow draw up here, but it's going to have to be a damn good one, because, I mean, the TA can, at a certain point, almost just get through half your lineup by herself. That's before we even take into account the rest of the lineup getting involved.
Yeah, they've got to find moves. With the Aeon Disc, unfortunately, you can't afford to go for Leo style, pop the Aeon Disc, and then smoke afterwards. When these team fights do break out, and I think Lava aren't going to look for any more team fights, they're probably looking for the win pretty soon. They need to find moves. If you're Black and Yellow, you need to kill the IO. He doesn't have too many defensive tools just yet. If anything, it's just the Essence Ring. But how do you kill Moose with the Mars and Puck waiting in the background? Especially with how early Sammy's been forced to use his BKB in a lot of these engagements, that's where the 13k net worth lead is really going to feel like it's a huge problem for them to deal with. That's also why I don't think they smoke top anymore, because Kataro, with the Shard, he just will kill you. He just doesn't mess around anymore. And with the Grove Bow, really nice pickup, he just gets to hit this tower every single time, traps up, he just gets the vision, and the siege is incredibly difficult for them to hold. As soon as they use anything as well, they're just going to immediately rush the high ground like Link, like Halberd. They're just going to go immediately afterwards.
And you see Jubei, he's making an attempt at it there, coming in with the occasional Nightmare, but the second it gets thrown down, Moves removes it, and Kataro's just back into siege mode. So they just keep on pushing their way forward, and at Black and Yellow, at a certain point, they're going to have to go just because they're going to lose their final lane of racks and it'll be tier 4s under attack, but there really doesn't seem to be, oh my god, seem to be a good opportunity as Zero. Oh my lord, I mean, that meld, it took out like 2/3 of his HP in one hit. Zero's dead. He does have a buyback, but at this point, the racks are going down, so Black and Yellow kind of have to scramble to defend this. They are not going to defend well against Megas, and at this point, the Megas actually may not be the concern. They're just going to get wiped out. Yamsun dead. They will take down Jubei as well. Buybacks coming out from everyone who has one, but this just isn't enough. They do get the Fiend's Grip onto Kataro, but even if you kill him off, he's got the Aegis. He's coming back. And Lava, they smell blood in the water. They sense their opportunity. Leo Style blinks in, trying to keep these heroes busy while Kataro respawns, but the second he's back up, they do hit him with the disarm from that halberd. Big play there, but now Frank comes in, dropping down the spear stun. Zero, trying to get back to the fountain, but he is just taking so much damage right now. He's not going to be taken out, however, so he will be able to fall back, but Black and Yellow, it's just a desperate bid right now. They've used every single buyback they've got, and it really wasn't enough. And I was talking about Megas. I had forgotten the middle racks was still standing, so that is 100% my bad. They did not take it that last time around, so it's only 2 racks, not 3. I'm just a crazy person, but the fact remains, Lava, they've just got so much control right now. It might as well be just full racks, because Black and Yellow really don't think they can afford to go much further out of their own base.
Yeah, and there's so many things to talk about, but I think Zero, they're going to try to get his dieback here. He's got 1 or 2 good trees like that to get himself back, but so many little things done right from Lava. The buyback from the Mars to relocate to get him back in immediately timed out. You have Kataro getting 2 crits on Zero, just basically instantly killing him. There's so many things that Lava are setting themselves up for their own success. It's just really clean from them. And even though you do lose the Aegis, of course, you're getting so much in return. That's also just a monster 4-staff from MJZ on the coil to just kill Yamsun. They just doesn't even have a chance. He just snaps it with the force. Like, they play so well around the fact that Leo Style has this coil. It's just so clean.
Now Black and Yellow just sort of huddling around that final remaining lane, but Franks is going to make the move, jumps in with the arena into the spear. Jubei dead right away, and he already used his buyback in the last fight, so he's not coming back in for 50, and how do Black and Yellow respond? Leo Style's going to try to push in. Sammy needs to make sure he doesn't get too isolated from his teammates, but they did get the nice play. Lil Nick in there with the Hex. They're going to go into the Mars. They do manage to blow him up, but now the Dream Coil from Leo catching out Sammy Boy. They'll take him down. And Zero actually snapped that coil as well, trying to get away. He is going to be able to Timber Chain his way back, but the defense is looking harder and harder as Yamsun's going to take a hit or two. Not enough, so Katara will back off. And now they get another Hex, this time on it to the Puck, but Lil Nick is alone this time around. No real backup for him, so he has to fall back with the Ghost Scepter. He is going to be able to get out, but it just feels like slowly, bit by bit, Black and Yellow are just sort of getting chipped away at here. And yeah, as you can see, Tier 3 tower goes down. It's still only Frank dead on the Lava side, so they're just going to keep on pushing.
Yeah, there's no real reason for them to leave here. They can just do whatever they want. I think probably going to see the news pretty soon. They tried. They made the attempt. Azir's doing a really good job here. The flamethrower is really obnoxious, but without the threat of Link, Kataro doesn't really need to be afraid. He's really most afraid of either the Halberd or the Nightmare coming in from Jubei. But really, there isn't much a reason for them to back up here. They can just kind of go for it. They're being very obnoxious, but I don't know. I can't imagine Black and Yellow holding right now. It's just too hard. Yemsun, he's doing a really good job. Yeah, the Scotty finished up as well, but okay. Homing this one to Jubei.
Taken down. Yamsun dropping low. Nice play there with the time lapse. Kataro, he's going to be pushed back, but here comes Leo in with the DD rune. They're going to jump in for the silence.
Okay.
Kataro, though, he did die. Zero gets the kill, but Yamsun goes down as well, and at this point, I'm not really sure what more they can do. Zero will fall. Yamsun, though, did have a buyback, so he's back in. They're going to pop the glyph now, and Sammy's only 5 seconds away, so, well, Lava will back out, and Black and Yellow, I mean, they live to see another day. They will continue to fight, and I don't know about the likelihood of a comeback right now. It's going to take a hell of a lot of effort, but they are refusing to go down without a fight here in Game 1.
Yeah, and there are some big items down the pipeline. Of course, if Sammy Boy is able to finish off this refresher, that would be huge for him. He keeps on having to use his BKB so early in these engagements that it does feel like that second BKB would maybe allow him to stand even closer to the TA. Not just that, Kataro also hasn't gone for the BKB, hasn't gone for the Bloodthorn, so we're not out of a position where he's just going to be helpless. You can still kill this TA. You pop the Lincolns with the Mana Drain, and then suddenly you can stun him. And we've already seen that there isn't that big of an advantage built up on moves yet. We don't have items like the mech. We don't have that much healing coming from this IO now, for now. But that's really just Black and Yellow playing their outs. Unfortunately, he got initiated. Yeah. Doesn't buy.
Yeah, so the buyback is still going to be there, coming back up after that sort of previous engagement, but at this point, it feels like he's going to need it because they're going in. Yeah, there's the buyback from Sammy. Do see Black and Yellow trying to get themselves back into a defensive position. Of course, they don't have the glyph here, so they can't protect the racks. And Frank, he's just going to pop the BKB and go, but he got the spear stun onto Sammy as well. If they can take him down, that would be the dieback, but they actually decide to play it a little bit safer. They back off. Leo style, though, jumping in. Dream Coil connecting onto 2. They've got both Lil Nick and Yamsun there, but the damage is a little bit more focused to the south. They were trying to bring down Sammy, but they're not going to get him. They really don't get anyone. And this is getting maybe a little bit more complicated. They were at least able to take down the racks already, though. So if you're Lava, you're kind of just playing with house money right now. The Megas will be coming in, so the longer you can stay in your opponent's base and try and keep the siege going, the better off you may be. But they don't want to stick around too long, still recognizing the danger in that Black and Yellow have all the heroes back up. The Finger of Death is here as well on Lil Nick, so there is still potential for them to make a play, and Lava have to, well, really just not sort of tempt fate there.
Yeah, they also know that in a prolonged engagement, Weaver, they found him.
Kataro gets hit up. They've got the Hex. They've got the Link. There's a nice Force Staff to get him over the ledge. Do they continue to chase, though? Sammy wants in. He is holding that BKB for as long as he possibly can. Big relocate from Moose, though, getting his teammate out of there. MJZ gets left behind. Leo Style, however, jumping in, trying to help out. This is not really good for them, or it didn't look that way at first, but they are able to take down a couple. MJZ was the one to fall while Leo Style got himself out of there, and now with Kataro back into the fight on the second half of the relocate, they're able to close it out. So, okay. It looked a little dicey there initially, but they knew. Moose is coming back. He's bringing Kataro with him. That's going to be the GG call. Black and Yellow, I mean, give him some credit, ET. They drew this one out. Maybe an extra 5 to 10 minutes, but Lava were just too tough.
And even in that last engagement, I mean, there's something very noble about being Megas running at your opponent's head first, trying to find the kill onto Kataro, but that Force Staff was just monster. They did everything they needed to do. They placed the vision, they smoked out, they caught someone off guard, and it still wasn't enough. There was a monster relocate from Moose as well, actually reclaiming the high ground that they had all kind of got chased out from after they went down to run away from Black and Yellow because they didn't want, again, that prolonged engagement where you're getting slowed up by the Scotty, you're getting linked up. It's a very real scenario where you would probably lose Kataro, but instead, kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. They just kind of kite around. They're already caught so far out of your base. You saw the 2 remaining heroes on Black and Yellow defending Mega Creeps on the other side. I think Yamsun calling the GG is pretty appropriate. They knew that they had their number, but still, they were still looking for plays even when they were consistently 15k behind. And it's that kind of fighting NA spirit you gotta kind of look out for. But Lava definitely, I think, started to respect their opponents more, but also just kind of had a really clean game. I think Frank just played fantastic as well as Leo style, and that's where having those key initiators just feels really easy. It's so South American. Like Black and Yellow, they had their lanes, they didn't win their lanes, and then they kind of lost to the team fight on Lava.
And once again, yeah, we see one of those SA squads really push the tempo. Heroes were up and ready to go well before their counterparts on the black and yellow side. So they just kind of run them over. The game time goes to 35. As we mentioned, black and yellow were able to sort of draw it out, but we knew 20 to 25 minutes in, this was kind of Lava's game to lose, and they pull it out. They get the victory. They continue to look pretty good here as they take game one of this series. The question now, though, is what kind of adjustments will we see from that black and yellow side? Obviously, they continue to struggle in this event. They've only got the one win, but as we just saw in the back end of that first game, they are more than willing to continue fighting. So they are not going to just sort of throw in the towel here. We'll see something potentially different from them in game two as they try to salvage some sort of 1-1 draw here. But for now, we are going to be stepping away as we get the teams ready for that second game. So stick around, folks. Game number 2 between Black and Yellow and Lava Best PC is coming your way in just a little bit.